Today is one of the most sacred and special holidays of our entire nation, if you ask me. And if you want to know why, stay tuned. Cheers, everybody. Welcome to a very special Bourbon and Booze. It's been a while, and I know I keep saying that, but life just kicks you all the time. So I'm very glad to be back and have this very special uh, day to talk about Memorial Day, because unfortunately, most people, I think the vast majority of people here in America, don't really understand what this day is all about. So, Memorial Day is always observed on the last Monday in May. It is kind of a kickoff towards summer. Schools are ending, people start going on vacation, and the heat starts coming in. It is a federal holiday in the United States dedicated to honoring and mourning the military personnel who have died in the performance of their military duties. The history of Memorial Day is rich and multifaceted, tracing its roots back all the way to the Civil War. And it's evolving through the decades to become more of a solemn occasion than it is today. Today is all about sales and you know just sales. It's more commercialized. The origins of Memorial Day date back to the Civil War, a conflict that resulted in the deaths of approximately 620,000 soldiers, both North and South. In the wake of such a devastating loss, communities across the nation began to hold springtime tributes to those fallen soldiers, decorating their graves with flowers or reciting prayers, having get togethers to remember their fallen relatives and friends. One of the earliest recorded commemorations was organized by formerly enslaved African Americans in Charleston, South Carolina, on May 1st, 1865. This event had honored soldiers who had died in a Confederate prison camp and were reburied in a mass grave. On May 5th, 1868, General John A. Logan, leader of an organization in Northern Civil War veterans, called for a nationwide day of remembrance later that month. Decoration Day, as he called it, was to be observed on May 30th, a date chosen because it was not the anniversary of any other particular battle or event. So it wasn't co opting any other remembrance. By the late 19th century, many northern states adopted May 30th Decoration Day. Southern states, meanwhile, had their own days of remembrance, reflecting the lingering regional divisions of that Civil War. After World War I, the holiday evolved into commemorate American military personnel who died in all wars, not just the Civil War, all the way back to the Revolution. The name gradually shifted from Decoration Day to Memorial Day. In 1968, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, which established Memorial Day as the last Monday in May, ensuring a 3-day weekend for federal employees. The change took effect in 1971. In December of 2000, Congress passed the National Moment of Remembrance Act, asking Americans to pause for 1 minute at 3 p.m. local time on Memorial Day to remember and honor those who have died in service to our nation. Communities across the United States hold ceremonies, parades, and other events to honor fallen soldiers. Notable ceremonies took place at Arlington National Cemetery, where the president or vice president typically lays a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Many Americans visit cemeteries and memorials, decorating the graves of military personnel with flags, flowers, and wreaths. Just up the road from here is the National Cemetery in Arlington, Texas, and it is just, there's flags on every grave and flowers, and it's a really solemn and sorrowful but uplifting and beautiful sight. While many people enjoy this long weekend with barbecues, I've seen lots of people post on my Instagram and Facebook about barbecues, picnics, family gatherings, sales. I get inundated with these sales, stuff like that. The underlying purpose of Memorial Day remains a time for reflection and remembrance of those who have given their lives in service to the country. So while everybody knows it's about military, Most Americans don't understand it's for those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for their life or for their country. They died serving their country. And so I get lots of emails, lots of calls or texts saying, I want to thank you for your service. Um, Thank you for what you've done. And this is not my day. This is not any living Veterans Day. This is for those who have passed away. So, in some cases, and I try to work through this and just call it military, I don't know, PTSD, if you will. I get really angry when I see um, sales signs like the Memorial Day car buying days, or restaurants that say, support your veterans and thank them for this weekend. We as living veterans and all veterans have a day in November called Veterans Day on November 11th. This is for those who have given their ultimate sacrifice. And for veterans, almost all of us know people who have died in giving their life for the service of our country and for the freedom and protection that you all enjoy. So make sure that you understand that this is a very special, solemn Memorial Day. And I'm not saying you can't have your barbecue and your holidays to celebrate the 3-day weekend in the coming summer. Just make sure you understand what that is and take the opportunity at 3 today to have a moment of silence for all those in service who have given up their lives. Memorial Day has thus evolved from a post-Civil War tradition into a national holiday that honors all military personnel who have died in the line of duty. And this is going to lead us into the distilleries who are setting up whiskeys, vodkas, whatever, in memory of their fallen comrades. And probably no distillery out there, and there's tons of veteran-owned distilleries, is more famous for that than Horse Soldier Bourbon. So Horse Soldier Bourbon has a fascinating, unique history intertwined with both military and entrepreneurship spirit, and it's a very special product. Horse Soldier Bourbon was funded by a group of former U.S. Special Forces soldiers. This fly is bothering me. Was founded by a bunch of ex-Special Forces who were one of the first military units into Afghanistan after September 11th. And they're known for being horse soldiers because they rode horses. That was their primary means of getting around the mountains in Afghanistan. The horse soldiers were part of a Task Force Dagger, a joint special operation task force composed of Green Berets from the 5th Special Force Group, CIA operatives, and Air Force combat controllers. And they teamed up with Northern Alliance forces. These are Afghan and other forces in northern Iraq and Afghanistan to take on the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. The mission and bravery were later depicted in the book Horse Soldiers by Doug Stanton and the film that followed that called 12 Strong. If you've never seen that, you really need to watch that. It's action-packed but very emotional. After retiring from the military, the founders sought a way to transition to civilian life and channel their team-oriented mindset into a new venture. Inspired by their experiences and the camaraderie they shared, they decided to enter the bourbon industry, combining their passion for craftsmanship and their desire to create a lasting legacy. They established the American Freedom Distillery in St. Petersburg, Florida, and this distillery's name reflects the founders' dedication to freedom and the American spirit. They began the process of crafting Horse Soldier Bourbon, emphasizing high-quality ingredients and traditional distilling methods. The bourbon is made using a meticulous process that honors the traditional method of whiskey making. It is distilled from a mash bill of corn, rye, and barley, and aged in charred New American oak barrels. This process imparts rich flavor and smooth finish to the bourbon. Horse Soldier Bourbon branding is steeped in some symbolism. The bottle design features an image of the American horse soldier, which there is a statue of in New York City, which honors the Special Forces soldiers who fought on horseback in Afghanistan. The bottle itself is pressed in molds made from steel shrapnel from the World Trade Center further trying the product to the events of 9/11 and the Founders Reserve. So you can't really see it, but this one is a gold, but it's a very thin sheet of metal. This one is a Barrel Select silver. Horse Soldier Bourbon stands as a testament to the resilience, bravery, and entrepreneurial spirit of its founders. Their transition from warfighters to whiskey makers illustrate how veterans can successfully pivot to new ventures while honoring their past and creating high-quality products that resonate with consumers. Cody's in here, so he's kind of not making faces, but he's driving me nuts. The story of Horse Soldier Bourbon is not just about whiskey, it's about honor, sacrifice, and the enduring American spirit. So, I would like to give you a toast to all of our fallen comrades. I have a very dear friend, Greg, who was killed in Iraq, and I think of him all the time. And we have lots of fallen comrades out there. I miss my time in the Navy and having that camaraderie with all of my friends, but always knowing that life's a fleeting moment. And so, cheers, or not really cheers, but to Memorial Day and to all of our loved ones who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Go ahead and leave in the comments stories about your loved ones who passed away. I have family all the way back to the Revolution that have given the ultimate sacrifice. So it's really interesting and fascinating to know your family history on that. But leave those comments below. Tell us what your favorite veteran-owned whiskey or bourbon is. And we will see you hopefully tomorrow for another episode. Cheers.